You think you have time, but let me warn you, every second you ignore this truth, you're broadcasting chaos into the field. And chaos always collects interest. Most people drift through life unaware. Every thought, every sigh, every unspoken fear, they're all signals. Signals that the field is already answering. Not someday, right now. And here's the terrifying part. If you don't take control, the field will amplify the very doubts, the very insecurities, the very lack you carry in your body. Your future becomes nothing more than an echo of your fears. Pause. Look at your life, the disappointments, the delays, the missed chances. These are not random accidents. They are receipts. Proof of the energy you've been transmitting without knowing it. Science is clear. The subconscious runs the show. 95% of your daily behavior, expectation, and emotion, which means your conscious effort is nothing but decoration if the subconscious is out of alignment. That's why you keep repeating patterns. That's why opportunities vanish the moment they appear. Because the field isn't listening to your words, it's listening to your state. Now here's the urgency. You don't have forever. Every day you delay, you strengthen the old frequency. Every hesitation digs the groove deeper. But imagine, just imagine, what happens the moment you shift. When your conscious intention finally matches your subconscious vibration, the noise dissolves, the signal becomes clean, and the field responds instantly. This isn't philosophy, it's physics. And the question you must face is simple. Will you keep letting unconscious chaos write your destiny? Or will you claim the frequency that has been waiting for you all along? Now, let me take you deeper. What if the life you're living right now isn't really yours? What if you've been following a script you never wrote? Wake up, work, stress, sleep, repeat, and somewhere in the quiet hours your soul whispers, is this all? Can you feel that question burning inside you? Because here's the danger. If you keep ignoring it, that whisper becomes a scream. And one day your body will collapse under the weight of a life unlived. It has happened before. Sarah knew this. She was a Wall Street success story, salary high, lifestyle polished, the dream on paper. But inside, empty. Every day she dragged herself through endless hours. She silenced the voice inside until her body finally forced her to listen. One morning, surrounded by glowing screens and endless transactions, Sarah collapsed on the office floor. Her heart wasn't broken by love. It was broken by neglect, by ignoring the truth for too long. And when she woke in the hospital staring at the ceiling, the only thought that haunted her was, is this really my life, or am I living someone else's dream? Don't brush this off. Don't think you're safe because you're still standing. Sarah thought she had time too, but time is a liar. Every day you live misaligned, the subconscious programs sink deeper. Every cycle you repeat, the groove carves itself into your destiny. That's why most people die with their potential unexpressed, not because they lacked talent, not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked awareness. And now, you have to ask yourself, do you feel the cage, the invisible walls closing in as you repeat the same motions every day? Because if you do, then understand this. That cage is not life, it's programming. It's the echo of signals you've been unconsciously sending into the field. But the field is merciless. It does not reward intentions you never embody. It does not care what you say you want. It reflects what you are. Look at your circumstances. Look at your relationships. Look at your opportunities or the lack of them. They are not accidents. They are mirrors. And the mirror does not lie. So I'll ask you directly, how much longer will you pretend? How much longer will you decorate a prison cell and call it a home? Because here's the truth you've been avoiding. The moment you take responsibility, the moment you stop blaming chance, your life begins to shift, almost supernaturally. But if you don't, the loop continues. The days blur into weeks, the weeks blur into years, and one day you wake up too late to change. This is why you cannot wait. This is why the urgency is real. Because every moment you hesitate, you invest in the life you don't want. And the field, always listening, multiplies what you send. Sarah learned this the hard way. You don't have to. Right now, as you hear these words, your subconscious is listening. It's deciding whether you will break free or remain chained. And that decision is being made by your state, not your excuses. So let me speak to you directly. If you've ever felt trapped in a cycle that wasn't yours, comment right now, I've felt this. That single act of acknowledgement is the first step in breaking the pattern. That's not just interaction, it's intention. And intention is the seed of transformation. So pause, feel your breath, feel the weight of this moment, because this is not entertainment, this is a mirror. And the question remains, will you step into awareness now, or will you keep drifting until the field answers with silence? The choice is yours. But hear me carefully. The window is small, and every second you wait, the echo of your old self grows louder. So answer, right here, right now. Are you ready to claim the life that belongs to you? Because the next step changes everything. Exactly, that power is consciousness, the invisible architect within you. Think about it. Every structure, every invention, every discovery that reshaped humanity, where did it begin? Not in steel, not in stone, not in technology. It began in the invisible realm of thought. Consciousness is not passive. It is not a background process. It is the raw fabric from which reality is carved. And here's the mystery that few dare to face. If you do not direct it, it directs you. Pause. Feel that truth. The very mind you carry right now is not just reflecting life, it is scripting it. And every script has consequences. Science has already proven this in ways that shake the foundations of what we believe. The placebo effect. A sugar pill, a harmless injection, a fake procedure, and yet the body heals. Why? Because belief becomes biology. Because consciousness does not wait for permission. It creates pathways, rewires systems, floods the body with signals that turn imagination into matter. The New England Journal of Medicine has recorded countless cases where patients healed simply because they believed they were being healed. This is not magic. It is not accident. It is the proof that your inner architect never sleeps. Now let me take you into a story. A story not from centuries ago, not from myth or legend, but from the streets of modern America. Joe Dispenza, an ordinary man, a chiropractor, a cyclist, until one morning the road became his battlefield. A car hit him at high speed, bones shattered, his spine broken in multiple places. Doctors looked at the scans and delivered the sentence, paralysis, a life confined to a wheelchair, no chance of walking again. Imagine lying on that hospital bed, your body refusing to move, your future stolen in a single instant, and the experts around you telling you it's over. What would you do? Most surrender. Most collapse into despair. But Joe did something different. He closed his eyes and he began to imagine. Every single day, every single hour, he rebuilt his spine, not with his hands, not with tools, but with consciousness. He placed his mind on every vertebra, every connection, every nerve. He rehearsed walking. He rehearsed healing. He rehearsed life returning to his body. 9 weeks later, the impossible happened. Joe stood. Joe walked. Joe lived. Doctors had no explanation, but Joe knew. He had touched the truth most people spend their lives ignoring. That consciousness is the invisible architect. That thought is blueprint. That awareness is power. And Joe did not stop with his own miracle. He took it to the world. Now, he teaches millions across continents, proving again and again that when you master the architect within, the external world bends to meet it. So I ask you, what script are you allowing your consciousness to write right now? Is it the script of fear, the script of limitation, the script of I can't? Because if it is, then understand this. Your body, your relationships, your opportunities, your very reality will obey that script without hesitation. But if you choose differently, if you decide to become deliberate, if you choose to command the architect instead of being enslaved by it, then everything begins to shift. Do you see the urgency? This is not just about positive thinking. This is about survival. This is about reclaiming authorship over the story of your life. The field is listening, the subconscious is translating, and your consciousness is the pen. The question is, what are you writing? Pause for a moment. Remember the last time something coincidental happened. A door opened, a person appeared at the perfect time, an answer arrived before you even asked the question. Was that randomness, or was that the architect at work aligning the blueprint with the field? You see, the greatest leaders, the visionaries, the innovators, they all knew this secret. They did not wait for reality to hand them instructions. They imagined, they believed, and they acted from a state of certainty long before the evidence appeared. That is why Edison created light. That is why Martin Luther King Jr. ignited a movement. That is why Joe Dispenza walked again. Not because they denied reality, but because they commanded it. And now the spotlight turns to you. Will you keep letting unconscious thought dictate a life of repetition? Or will you step forward and claim the architect within? Say it now, out loud. Declare it in the comments. I believe. Because belief is the seed, and action waters it, and consciousness builds the house. If you've ever wondered why your life looks the way it does, look no further than the invisible drafts written by your own awareness. And if you want to change the outcome, you must change the author, you. So listen carefully. This is not optional. This is not something you can postpone for someday, because every day you delay, you strengthen the old script. Every hesitation engraves the old blueprint deeper. And one day you will wake up and realize you have been living a life designed by fear. But you don't have to, not anymore. Right now, in this moment, you can take the pen back. You can claim the architect. You can shape a new reality. And that is why I challenge you. If you believe consciousness is the invisible architect that can reshape your world, write it, comment it, engrave it into the field. I believe. Because the moment you acknowledge the architect, the design begins to change, the noise begins to fade, and the signal becomes clear. But the question lingers. If consciousness is the architect, what is the tool that turns its invisible blueprints into tangible reality? That is the mystery we unravel next. Your focus is what collapses one possibility into reality. Think about that. Out of the infinite possibilities surrounding you right now, it is not luck. It is not chance. It is the spotlight of your attention that chooses which one solidifies. Haven't you felt it before? You think of someone you haven't spoken to in years, and suddenly your phone rings, and it's them. Coincidence? Or proof that where focus goes, reality bends? This is not fantasy. It is physics. Quantum physics, the most mysterious branch of science and yet the most revealing mirror of your own mind. The double slit experiment, one of the most shocking discoveries in modern science. When particles are left alone, they behave like waves, endless possibilities, spread across infinite outcomes. But the moment they're observed, they collapse. They become fixed. They become reality. What does that mean? It means your attention is not harmless. Your focus is not neutral. It is an act of creation. When you watch, when you expect, when you lock onto a possibility, it takes shape. Now let me ask you, what possibilities are you collapsing into form each day without realizing it? Are you focusing on fear, on failure, on scarcity? Because if you are, then understand this. The field listens, and it answers. But when you focus on possibility, when you give your attention to vision, to intention, to creation, you collapse a different world. And that is where transformation begins. Let's go back in time to an American workshop glowing with determination. Thomas Edison, the man who lit the world. But what most people forget is how many times he failed before the breakthrough. 1,000 failures, 1,000 nights of darkness, 1,000 collapses of possibility that didn't work. But Edison refused to look away. He refused to scatter his focus. He locked onto a single reality, a world lit by human hands. And because he kept collapsing that vision, because he kept returning to it, no matter the setback, the light bulb was born, and with it the darkness of human history began to fade. Do you see the power? It was not talent alone, it was not resources, it was focus, relentless, unshakable focus. So let me ask you again, where is your focus right now? On the obstacles, or on the vision waiting to be born? Pause for a moment. Remember the last time you were so deeply focused that the world around you disappeared. Time melted away, noise faded. You and the moment became one. That wasn't ordinary, that was creation. That was the quantum mirror reflecting your attention back into form. Science tells us that attention reshapes the brain itself. Neuroscience has proven that focused thought rewires neural pathways, strengthening them like muscles trained in the gym. Focus is not just collapsing quantum particles, it is collapsing the structure of your biology, your mind, your identity. So the urgency is clear. Every distraction steals from your future. Every scattered thought fractures your potential. But every moment of true focus is a seed of reality waiting to bloom. This is why people remain stuck. They scatter their attention across fear, doubt, hesitation, and the field reflects it. Confusion, delay, disappointment. But when you command focus, when you choose one vision and refuse to look away, reality has no choice but to bend. Thomas Edison proved it, countless creators proved it, and deep down you felt it too. So I challenge you now. Think of the last time you disappeared into focus. When the outside world melted and only the task, the dream, the vision remained. That was the quantum mirror responding. That was proof that your focus is not powerless. It is the brush painting reality onto the canvas of the field. And here is your call. If you've ever experienced that state, that laser focus where the world vanished, comment right now, yes, because declaring it is the first step to mastering it. Acknowledging it strengthens it, and the field listens. But let me leave you with this question, the one that unlocks the next layer of the mystery. If focus collapses possibilities into form, is focus alone enough? Or is there a deeper force hidden beneath awareness that truly drives the destiny you are living? That is the question you must face, because the answer changes everything. No, focus alone is not enough. The subconscious is the secret doorway. Think about it. You say with your lips, I want happiness, but deep inside, your body trembles with fear of failure. You say, I believe in success, but your breath, your heartbeat, your very posture whisper doubt. And here is the terrifying truth. The subconscious does not obey words. It does not follow empty affirmations. It follows the signals beneath, the beliefs you carry, the emotions you rehearse, the expectations engraved into your nervous system. So ask yourself, what has your subconscious been broadcasting? Because every moment it is transmitting a signal far louder than your voice. Science has revealed something extraordinary. The heart, the very center of your chest, is not just a pump. It generates an electromagnetic field 500 times stronger than the brain, 500 times. It is this field that floods your body, that influences every cell, that radiates beyond you into the space around you. And the subconscious is wired to this rhythm, which means your reality is not built by what you say. It is built by what your subconscious through the heart declares. Now pause with me. Have you ever wondered why you repeat cycles you swore you'd never fall into again? Why you chase goals but somehow sabotage them at the last moment? It is not weakness, it is programming. It is the subconscious door, locking you inside a reality you never consciously chose. But what if that door could be opened? What if the very power that trapped you could set you free? Let me take you to Texas. A veteran returned from war. He survived the battlefield, but the battlefield would not leave him. Every night, flashbacks. Every sound, a trigger. Every breath, a struggle against the invisible war inside. PTSD carved scars into his life deeper than bullets ever could. Therapy, medication, endless advice. None of it reached the root, because the subconscious was still holding the trauma, still replaying the pain. Until one day, he encountered something different, a practice that linked the mind and the heart. Not just talking about healing, but feeling it. Breathing into the heart, synchronizing brainwaves with the rhythm of the heart's field, and something shifted. For the first time in years, silence entered his mind. The nightmares began to fade. The triggers loosened their grip, and the soldier became human again. Peace returned, not through words, but through the language of the subconscious. Do you see it now? The subconscious door is real. It is not opened by shouting affirmations. It is opened by alignment, by emotion, by coherence between mind, heart, and body. So let me ask you, what doors in your life are still locked? What dreams remain just out of reach because the subconscious has not yet been reprogrammed to receive them? Because until you unlock that door, you are decorating the porch of a house you can never enter. And this is where urgency becomes unavoidable. Every day you repeat the old emotion, the old story, the old fear. You feed the subconscious program. You strengthen the cage. But every time you breathe into coherence, every time you feel a new state and embody it, you write a new script, and the field listens. So here's my challenge to you. If you want to step through the subconscious doorway, if you are ready to unlock the hidden architect within, comment right now, unlock. That single word is not just interaction, it is intention. And intention is the first crack in the lock, because the subconscious is the real builder. It does not respond to what you wish, it responds to what you embody. Now, the question remains, if the subconscious is the doorway, then how do you align the mind, the heart, and the body into one clear signal? How do you create coherence so strong that the field cannot ignore it? That is the secret waiting in the next step. The way to become a powerful signal is through complete alignment. Stop for a second. What does that really mean? It means when your mind, your heart, and your body move as one, you stop being noise and you become music. not scattered frequencies, not contradictory signals, but a single resonance so clear, so magnetic, that the universe cannot help but respond. Haven't you felt those rare moments when everything just flows? When your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions seem to lock into place? Opportunities appear. Ideas spark. People show up. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. Science has now proven what the mystics whispered for centuries. The HeartMath Institute has shown that when your heart rhythms fall into coherence, your brain begins to light up differently. Creativity increases, intuition sharpens, stress dissolves, and suddenly you're no longer fighting life, you're tuned to it. Imagine your heart beating in harmony with your brain. Imagine your body following that rhythm like an orchestra guided by a single conductor. That state of coherence is not just health. It is power. It is magnetism. Now let me tell you a story from the heart of America's most famous innovators, Steve Jobs, a man remembered not just for technology but for vision, for creating Apple, yes, but more than that, for changing the way billions interact with life itself. And what few people understand is how he did it. Jobs was not just a businessman, he was a seeker. In the middle of his empire, he would retreat, he would meditate, he would quiet his mind until intuition spoke louder than logic. And it was from those moments of inner alignment, of coherence between mind and heart, that his greatest insights were born. Do you think it was chance that the iPhone appeared, reshaping communication forever? Or was it the fruit of a man who trusted alignment over chaos, coherence over noise? This is the secret. When you are coherent, you become a tuning fork for the universe. You vibrate so clearly that reality itself begins to reorganize around you. So ask yourself, right now, are you coherent? Or are you scattering your signal, thinking one thing, feeling another, and doing yet another? Pause, because every moment of misalignment pushes your vision further away. But every breath of coherence pulls it closer. That's why the stakes are so high. It is not enough to want. It is not enough to think. You must embody. You must align. You must let your heart and mind strike the same note until the entire body hums with clarity. And when that happens, something extraordinary unfolds. The field responds. People call it flow. They call it synchronicity. But it is coherence. It is alignment. It is proof that you are no longer fighting the universe. You are resonating with it. Think of the times you ignored your heart and only followed logic. Where did it take you? And think of the times you ignored logic but trusted intuition. How often were you led exactly where you needed to be? That is the music of coherence. That is the signal that changes everything. So here is my challenge for you. If you are ready to stop scattering your signal, if you are ready to become the tuning fork of the universe, then declare it now. Write it in the comments. I am ready. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because declaring readiness is the first vibration of alignment. And remember, every great innovator, every great creator, every great visionary knew this truth. They did not just think, they did not just hope, they aligned, they tuned, and because they did, the universe answered. But here's the question you must face as we move forward. If alignment is the signal that turns you into a magnet for reality, then why, even when everything seems ready, do so many people still remain inside their comfort zone? That is the barrier we must break next. Procrastination, the invisible enemy, is what binds you. You may think it's laziness, but it's not. It's fear. Fear wearing the perfect disguise. Fear whispers, not today. Fear tells you tomorrow will be safer. Fear convinces you that waiting will somehow prepare you better. And while you wait, life moves on. Every moment you delay, you are trading your destiny for comfort. Every hesitation is a silent agreement with mediocrity. And here's the harsh truth. Procrastination is not neutral. It's theft. It steals from your future. It robs you of opportunities that will never come again. Science has a name for this. Present bias. The tendency of the human brain to choose short-term comfort over long-term success. You don't skip the action because you don't care. You skip it because your brain lies to you. It tells you that relief now is worth more than triumph later. But relief fades. And the regret? That lingers. So let me ask you, how many dreams have you buried under the blanket of, I'll do it tomorrow? How many times have you silenced your own potential with the illusion of safety? Pause. Because every time you delay, the chains tighten, and you don't even see them. Let me tell you a story from Harvard, the heart of ambition. There was a student with a brilliant idea, a startup that could reshape an industry. He worked on it in secret, sketching plans, imagining the launch. But when the time came to act, fear whispered, "What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if the world rejects me?" So he shelved it. He told himself he would come back when the timing was right. Years passed, life moved on, and then one day he saw his idea in the headlines. Another team had built it, another team had launched it, and that very idea became a billion-dollar company. 10 years too late, he realized the truth. It was never about readiness. It was never about timing. It was procrastination, and procrastination cost him everything. So I ask you now, what has it already cost you? What hidden treasure of your soul lies collecting dust because fear convinced you to wait? Because make no mistake, procrastination is not protection, it is prison. But here is the urgency. The prison walls are not locked, they are made of smoke. And the moment you act, they vanish. That's the paradox. The very thing you fear is the key to freedom. Taking the step, no matter how small, destroys the illusion. Because procrastination feeds on stillness. It starves on movement. So let me speak to you directly. If you have ever lost an opportunity because of the delay, if you have ever watched your own future slip away through hesitation, comment right now. Break free. Write it. Claim it. Because declaring it is the first strike against the invisible enemy. And know this, every person you admire, every person who has left a mark, faced the same battle. They felt the fear, they heard the whispers, but they chose action, and that single choice made them unstoppable. So here's the question that burns before you. If procrastination is the invisible thief, then how do you break the chains in this very moment? How do you shatter the pattern instantly before it steals another piece of your future? That is the secret we will unlock next. You break the chains with action in just 5 seconds. 5 seconds. That's all it takes to tear down the invisible walls that have held you prisoner for years. Not 5 months, not 5 years, 5 seconds. Think about it. How many times have you known exactly what you needed to do, but you froze? The email you should have sent, the call you should have made, the workout you should have started, and yet hesitation wrapped its chains around you. The truth? You don't need more time, you don't need more motivation, you need less hesitation. That is where the 5-second rule comes in. Created by Mel Robbins, it is deceptively simple. When you feel yourself hesitate, you count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Stand up, say the words, send the message, step forward. Why does it work? Because science proves it. The moment you count down, you activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and decision-making. You interrupt the cycle of doubt. You cut through the noise. You silence the hesitation before it multiplies. It sounds small, but small does not mean weak. In fact, the tiniest action at the right moment can reroute the entire course of your life. Let me tell you the story of Mel Robbins herself. At her lowest point, she was broke. Her marriage was collapsing. She was drowning in depression. Every morning, she would hit snooze again and again, hiding from the world she no longer believed she could face. And then one night, she saw a rocket launch on television. The countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. Something sparked. What if, she thought, I used a countdown to launch myself out of bed? What if I stopped negotiating with my fears and simply acted? The next morning, she tried it. Her alarm went off. She counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And she stood up. No snooze, no hesitation, just action. That single decision grew into a habit. That habit became momentum, and momentum transformed her entire life. From bankruptcy and despair to best-selling author, from silence and shame to one of the most sought-after speakers in the world. All because she stopped waiting. All because she decided to act within 5 seconds. So, let me ask you, how many times have you given your power away to hesitation? How many opportunities have slipped because you waited for the perfect moment? That moment does not exist. What exists is 5 seconds. Right now, you can test it. Whatever action has been calling to you, no matter how small, launch it. Count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move. And to make it real, to anchor it into this very moment, comment below, I act. Do it now, not later. Because later is the language of procrastination. Now is the language of freedom. But let me leave you with this warning. Action alone is powerful, but if beneath your action, you still carry the weight of limiting beliefs. If deep inside you still believe you are not worthy, not capable, not enough, then even bold actions will eventually collapse under the pressure of your old programming. So the question we must face is this: if action breaks hesitation, what will break the chains of belief? What will set you free, not just for a moment, but forever? That is where we go next. No, action alone is not enough. You must reframe your entire set of limiting beliefs. Think about it. You can move, you can act, you can even leap forward with courage. But if your foundation is still cracked, every step will eventually crumble. The truth is this: your beliefs are the architecture of your destiny. And if those beliefs whisper that you're unworthy, that you're destined to fail, that your voice doesn't matter, then every action you take will be filtered through that lie. So what must you do? You must reframe. You must rewrite the way your mind interprets failure, pain, and challenge. Cognitive behavioral therapy has proven it. Change your interpretation and you change your life. Not the event itself, but the meaning you attach to it. Because events don't define you. Your story about those events does. How many times have you told yourself that failure meant the end? That rejection meant you weren't enough? That one closed door meant you were not worthy of walking through another? Pause. What if you were wrong? What if every failure was not a stop sign, but fuel? What if every rejection was redirection? What if every closed door was simply pointing you toward the one that was meant for you? This is not theory. This is lived truth. Take the story of Oprah Winfrey. She wasn't always the legend you know today. She wasn't always the billionaire, the empire builder, the global icon. At the beginning of her career, she was fired from her job as a television anchor. The feedback? She was unfit for TV. Imagine that for a moment. One of the most recognizable faces on the planet told she didn't belong on the screen. Most people would have crumbled. Most people would have let that single verdict become their lifelong identity. But not Oprah. She reframed it. Instead of letting failure define her, she let it refine her. Instead of shrinking, she expanded. And that very rejection became the stepping stone to her destiny. From unfit for TV to the most influential talk show host in history, from fired to icon, from rejected to revered. Do you see it now? It wasn't the failure that mattered. It was the meaning. It was the reframing. And you, right now, you hold the same power. Because your failures are not final. They are raw material. They are bricks you can either carry as weight or use to build your empire. So let me ask you, what failure have you been dragging like a chain? What story have you been telling yourself that keeps you small, trapped, silenced? Breathe. Because in this moment, you can reframe it. And when you do, the very thing that once broke you becomes the thing that fuels you. That is how legends are made. That is how destinies are rewritten. But you must act now. You must anchor this truth. So type it in the comments. Reframe. Do it boldly. Do it instantly. Because declaring is the first step in rewriting the story. But here's the next challenge. If reframing failure gives you new power, then what happens next? Once the old beliefs are destroyed, how do you begin to write a new story for your life? A story not chained to the past, but authored by your highest self. That is the question waiting for you in the next chapter. You rewrite it by telling the hypnotic story of your own life. Because here's the secret. People don't follow information. They don't follow data. They follow stories. Stories are the language of the subconscious. They slip past resistance. They bypass logic. They embed themselves deep in places where facts can never reach. So let me ask you, what story have you been telling? Is it the story of limitation, the story of failure, the story of fear, or will you choose to tell the story that transforms not only you, but everyone who hears it? Pause. Imagine yourself as a lighthouse. Not chasing ships, not begging to be seen, but standing tall, shining, radiating your truth so clearly that others cannot help but find their way by your light. That is the power of emotional storytelling. Science proves it. Neurolinguistic programming reveals that nested loops, stories within stories, create hypnotic patterns that root themselves in the subconscious mind. That's why you remember the stories that moved you long after the details fade. That's why one phrase, one image, one metaphor can change the trajectory of a life. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. He did not stand on that stage and talk about policies, numbers, or statistics. He gave the world a dream. A story so alive, so hypnotic that it set fire to the hearts of millions. He wasn't just telling his story, he was awakening the story already inside others. That is why the words, "I have a dream," echo through time. They were never about him, they were always about you. So what about you? What dream do you dare to tell? What hypnotic story waits inside you, aching to break free? Don't underestimate it. Your story, yes, yours, has the power to heal, to ignite, to lead. Because it's not the perfection that moves people, it's the vulnerability, it's the cracks, it's the moments where you fell and chose to rise. And here is where the urgency burns. If you don't tell your story, the world will tell it for you, and they will not tell it with your power. They will not tell it with your truth. Your silence becomes their script. But when you choose to speak, when you weave your story with fire and feeling, you stop being invisible. You become the lighthouse. So let me speak to you directly. If you're ready to step into your role as storyteller, as guide, as beacon, comment right now. I am the story. Write it. Claim it. Because once you declare it, the world begins to listen. But here's the final question. Once you dare to tell your story, how do you shape it into a journey so magnetic, so captivating that no one can look away? How do you turn your life into a path others are compelled to walk beside you? That is the mystery waiting for us in the next chapter. You turn it into a 90-minute journey, the journey of your own life. Because life doesn't change in years. It doesn't change in decades. It changes in moments. And one true journey, fully lived, can collapse years of hesitation into a single destiny-shaping leap. Think about it. What if your entire life could pivot in just 90 minutes? Not a lecture, not a theory, but a story. A journey that takes you from the shadows of doubt into the fire of clarity. That's the power of the monomyth, the hero's journey. The ancient pattern encoded into human consciousness, passed through myth, legend, and cinema. It begins with the ordinary world, the call to adventure, the refusal, the trials, the fall, the breakthrough, and finally, the return with the gift. This is not just storytelling, it is transformation itself. Because when you see yourself as the hero, you stop being the victim of circumstance. You become the author. You step into the role destiny has been whispering to you all along. Science confirms it. Narrative structure rewires the brain. Sparkline, the dance between problem and solution, struggle and breakthrough, creates dopamine spikes that lock the message deep into memory. The mountain structure builds tension, step by step, until the summit victory becomes inevitable. These are not just plots, they are psychological blueprints, and when you place yourself inside them, you live differently. Now pause. Because this isn't just an idea, it's already been done. Look at George Lucas. He didn't just create a movie, he built Star Wars using the ancient hero's journey. Luke Skywalker wasn't just a character, he was you. The farm boy called to something greater, the trials, the doubt, the mentor, the fall into darkness, and the rise into light. That's why millions sat in theaters with tears in their eyes. Because it wasn't about space battles or lightsabers, it was about their own soul, their own hidden call to adventure, their own longing to rise. And now I ask you, when will you step into your story? When will you claim your 90-minute journey, the one that shifts your reality forever? Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for permission. The journey begins the moment you say yes, the moment you declare, I am the hero. So write it in the comments right now. Type it, anchor it. I am the hero. Because that declaration is the first step into the unknown, the first step toward your destiny. But here is the question that burns brighter than all others. If you dare to live your life as a hero's journey, if you embrace the sparkline, climb the mountain, walk through the monomyth, what happens when you no longer just hear these words, but truly live as if every moment is a quantum event unfolding in your favor? That is where the next revelation waits. When you live as a quantum signal, life is no longer something waiting in the distance. It is here, now, alive in every breath you take. Because let's face it, you've heard the steps, you've walked the circle, awareness, subconscious, action, story. Each piece alone has power, but together, they form embodiment, the final transformation, the moment you stop seeking change and begin being change. Pause. Think about the athlete who doesn't just practice moves, he embodies victory. Every day before the Olympic finals, an American champion sat in silence, eyes closed, breath steady. And he lived the race before it ever happened. He saw the gold medal on his chest. He felt the roar of the crowd. He carried himself not as a man chasing victory, but as a victor already crowned. And when the day came, the body followed the mind. The subconscious aligned with the vision, and the medal was no longer imagined. It was real. This is embodiment. It's not wishing. It's not hoping. It's transmitting. When your consciousness chooses, when your subconscious believes, when your actions follow, and when your story fuels the fire, you become the signal itself, and the field has no choice but to respond. Now let me ask you directly, what if you decided, right here, right now, to live as if the dream is already yours? What if you walked like it, spoke like it, breathed like it, before the evidence appeared? Wouldn't the evidence have to appear? And here is the hypnotic truth. Many who dared to comment, to commit, to declare, have seen miracles unfold. A woman in New York once wrote, "I commit," beneath a video just like this. She had no job, no clarity, but she wrote it with trembling fingers. Within a week, she received an interview she never thought possible. Within a month, she was living in the very city she used to dream about. Her life didn't wait, it responded. So now it's your turn. If you are ready to step beyond listening, if you are ready to embody the quantum signal, write these words below. I commit. Don't think. Don't wait. Just type. Because when you commit in public, you shift the subconscious in private. Your body believes you. Your destiny listens. And if you feel this message burn inside you, here's what I ask. Like this video. Share it. Save it for the days you forget your own power. Pass it to a friend who needs a reminder that they too are the signal. And most of all, subscribe. Turn on the bell, because this is only the beginning of the journey. Every video is another step, another revelation, another piece of the path waiting for you. Let me thank you now. Out of millions of videos, you chose this one. That choice means something. It means you're ready, and I don't take that lightly. So comment, engage, add your voice, because this channel is not mine alone. It is ours. A community of signals, rising together, transmitting together, becoming stronger together. And with your help, your likes, your shares, your comments, we will spread this frequency far beyond what any of us could imagine. Remember, embodiment is not about waiting for proof. It is about being the proof. Now, here, alive. So tell me, will you keep living as if your dream is far away? Or will you embody it now and watch the field bend to your vibration? The choice is in your hands. The signal is already inside you. Say it, write it, live it, I commit, and then watch what unfolds.